So concerning feedback, when giving my learner feedback, I would want to implement augmented feedback, specifically auditory and kinesthetic, which work best for my learner. I would implement these two styles because they're the most compatible with my learner. And when giving feedback, I demonstrate to them using auditory cues where they could have improved or even moved them in the correct position if they are out of line, which is more along the line of those kinesthetic error corrections. If my learner was struggling, my feedback would most likely follow the shit sandwich approach. This being the strategy of complimenting the learner, addressing the errors, and then following up with positive reinforcement. I'd make sure to address and correct any errors and give advice on possible tweaks to their technique so that they perform to the best of their ability. At first, I would imagine my feedback would come often, but as they progress through the skill, or as Leah progressed through the skill, it would turn more into a summary feedback or feedback that came after a few attempts. So specifically, some of the errors associated with the walking lunge are, if Leah didn't have her back straight, if she was hunched over, or even, leaning back too far. That's a common error that I'd want to correct really fast because especially if Leah was using weights like dumbbells, it could really hurt her back. Another error I'd like to correct right away is if Leah was going through the lunge and she took too far of a step or too short of a step, her balance could be off, which would lead to, improper technique and injury. And that is, at the base what we really want to avoid. Other than that, I think Leah knows enough about the lunge to, kind of correct some of her own errors. But with more of a beginner, I'd be looking at them a lot more critically just to make sure that they are following the techniques that I would teach them. But all in all, that is how I would address, learner feedback and error correction.